What's up, YouTube? Today I'm finally doing it, the Presonus Firestudio Project. She's not working, not so great anyways. I have that problem where you got to turn the power on and off like 300 times to get it to work. This is the heart of my studio. So the computer's kind of like the brain. This is like the heart. This is where all the inputs and outputs are. You know, you hook your mics up, you plug them in here. You can turn them up and down with these knobs for multi-track recording. And then, you know, you got a monitor mix there. We got a headphone mix, just one headphone mix. And then we have a bunch of outputs on the back, which I've never really used, a send and a return, which I've also never really used, but maybe someday. And then your main outs here, we have MIDI, SPDIF, firewire to go to the computer, power. Anyways, I'm gonna tear it apart and see. I mean, if you guys are watching this video, then I fixed it. If you're not watching this video, then, well, I didn't fix it. But who knows, maybe I'll post it anyway. So there's a bunch of screws back here. Just see if I can, I don't know if I need to take those ones out, so I'll start here. I'm thinking, since you gotta turn it on and off so many times, wait for the plane. I'm thinking that there's gotta be like a bad capacitor in here somewhere that you know, as I flick it on and off a bunch, the capacitor eventually fires, more or less, but I don't really know. So we got into it here, so here we go. That is a lot of shit. You can see that. A lot of capacitors in there. So I mean, I don't know. Let's see if we can sort of figure out what the hell is going on here. So we got the power coming in. It's going to the board, and it looks like it's going to this transformer, which you guys can't see. So power coming in here, into these wires. Goes to the board, to the transformer, then to this big capacitor. Never mind, it comes over here to something. Oh, that must be a diode bridge, a bridge rectifier. So I'm assuming that turns it to DC. 2007, man, this thing's old. Then that goes into, I'm not sure where. Might have to flip the board over to figure that out, but it goes into the transformer, then to the diode bridge, then maybe to this cap, then maybe to this transformer. So I wonder if one of these transformers is bad. I don't even know how I would test that. But yeah, I'm just gonna look around for some brown spots. I'm also going to look for blown out capacitors. So I mean, I run old stuff. So my computer is really old. This thing's from 2007. Really old equipment. And it's interesting that I can't find this used. So just buy a new one. I looked it on Amazon. I don't know if it was new or used, but I found one for 410 bucks. I spent 500 bucks on this 10 years ago. You would think the price would have gone down, but I guess not, so whatever. I'm not seeing anything off the bat that looks too crazy. These capacitors, none of them appear to be blown out. There's a test we can do for them, but I don't know if I have the equipment. This always happens with me. I see guys on the internet all the time. They pull stuff apart, they see a big brown spot, you know what I mean? Like something is definitely wrong there. They've replaced the component and they're on their way. It never happens to me. I open these things and there's never a brown spot. There's never anything blown up. It always all looks fine, you know, to your eye. And I never even want to go through all the process of testing it all. And I mean, to get this out of here, I assume I'd have to take off like all of these outputs. There's little nuts here that probably screw off the front faceplate. You know, would have to go down. Oh, what a giant pain. But it's definitely worth a try at this point. I mean, if I can't pick a new one up pretty cheap. I mean, it's either that or change my whole studio around, which doesn't exactly sound appealing either. My idea was I was hoping all this stuff would get so old and I'd keep it old that I could get it for cheap when it broke. Well, I don't see any capacitor blown out. And I mean, I would imagine it's gonna be on the power supply side. So I'm thinking that this whole area here, all this board here, is all power supply, and it's a totally separate board. And then it's got these wires coming over to, let me zoom out a little bit. So this area is the power supply. It's got these wires here. They're coming over to the main board, which has got all my inputs and outputs on it. So, and you know, probably any op amps or whatever runs this thing. It sort of looks like there's 4 chips here that, you know, are in, they're sort of doing their thing. So probably I have 8 channels. So probably the first 2 go to this one, the second 2 to that one, and so forth. But I don't see anything, you know, because like if I came in here and the capacitor was blown out, I might be able to just get a new capacitor, pop it, solder it in there, and go to town. But I'm not seeing anything like that. Alright, well, let me look at this for a while. Turn the cooler back on. Alright, so here's kind of what it does. When you turn the switch on, it's plugged in now, so I'll be careful where I touch. It flicks those, and if I have monitors plugged in, it just goes with the flicker. But what's interesting about this is when I had it in the basement just now, trying to turn it on to do some work, it wouldn't flicker. So the lights wouldn't flicker. When this problem first started, the lights would always flicker. And I just moved that circuit board. One thing that I'm noticing, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to film this, but yeah, I guess I can. Look right in the middle of your screen. Let me grab. See this board here? So this must be the power supply board. And this board here is like the logic area. So all in here, this is where the computer plugs in here. Here's some big chips. So this must be the logic area in here. I can maybe try to move it up a little bit. And as we move down, this is like where all the audio stuff goes on. Looks like this is where all the amps are. So the only thing that looks weird is that this circuit board is pushed up, making me wonder if a component on here has gotten really hot, if it has warped this board. Also, there's a screw hole back in here with no screw in it. There's a screw hole right there too with no screw in it. So, did the screws come out? Were they never put in? I don't know. It's interesting. So I tried pushing down on this board, and it pushes down quite a bit. Considering that everything that goes to this board is wired, even over here, there's no solder connections or anything that could have been broken by this. Not really sure what's going on there. Maybe I can push down on that, but I'm going to unplug it and wait a little bit. I mean, I wonder if I'm assuming that this resistor here is a voltage drop, or it's probably across this big capacitor to let all the voltage out when you turn it off. So maybe there's a problem with that resistor, maybe there's a problem with this capacitor, even though it doesn't appear to have blown its guts out like I hear they do. Maybe it's dried out somehow. Maybe there's a problem with one of these transformers. Maybe it's a bad diode. There's some other little capacitors in here. Who knows? But I mean, the fact that it's doing something makes me wonder if it's just getting a low voltage. The capacitor is bad, because eventually, after I do this it used to only take like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute. Now it's like, we timed it the other day and it was 8 minutes of me doing this before it turned on. Eventually it'll just turn on like normal. So, who knows? Maybe I'll post this thing anyways, and if I don't fix it, somebody can help me fix it. Let's see. Well, unfortunately, I just don't know. I mean, maybe when I get some more tools, some capacitor checker type tools, and you know, a little bit better multimeter, maybe I could just take this part out, the power supply. I've got to go get working on this project, but it seems to be working a bit better now than it was. So that's twice and it turned on. The other times, a few times, I got it turned right on like that. So I'm just probably gonna go run it. Anyways, thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe. Presonus.